Hello everyone, welcome to the Tkinter Hub. In the previous video we had created this calculator interface. If you have not watched the part 1 video, where we have created this calculator interface, then the part 1 video link is available in the description box, and also in the pinned comments section below. And in this video, we will create all the functionalities of this calculator. So we will start by creating the display input functionality. Basically this functionality will display the user clicked button input in the calculator input box. So without wasting any time, let's get started to create this functionality. Over here we will create the function, which will display the calculator input. Here in the display input function, we will take an argument, called input. In the input argument, we will pass the user input value, which input value the user will type by pressing the calculator buttons. And the user input value we will insert in the calculator input box, to display the user, what has typed. Using the entry box insert method, we will insert the user input in the calculator input box. The entry box insert method takes two arguments. The first argument is the index. In the index argument, we will specify the position where the text will be inserted in the entry box. Here I will set the index value the insert. The insert value will represent the entry box cursor current position. And in the string argument, we will specify the text which we want to insert in the entry box. So we will insert the user input value in the entry box. Now let's see how we will display the user clicked button input value, using the display input function. To display the user clicked button input value, we will add this function to the calculator buttons. So here are these calculator numbers buttons. Simply here I will add the display input function to these buttons, to show you the example, how we will display the user clicked button input. Using the lambda function I will add the display input function to this button. Here I have added the display input function to this button, and simply here I will pass the input argument to the display input function. So if this 7 number button will be pressed, then absolutely we will display 7 in the calculator input box. Then simply here in the input argument I will pass the value 7. And now when this 7 number button will be pressed, then the display input function will insert the value 7 in the calculator input box. And similarly we will add the display input function to the other buttons. And in the 8 number button, we will pass the value 8, so when this 8 number button will be pressed, then the display input function will insert the 8 value in the calculator input box. And similarly we will do this with the 9 number button. We will pass the value 9 in the input argument. Now when the 9 number button will be pressed, then the display input function will insert the value 9 in the calculator input box. Now let's run the program. So we have added the display input function to these buttons, and let's if I click to the button 7. Here you can see when I click the button 7, then here in the calculator input box the 7 number value is displaying. And now let's if I click to the other buttons, here you can see the clicked button input value is displaying in the calculator input box. And similarly we will add the display input function to the other buttons, and we will pass the input argument value which is associated with the button. Here is the percentage button. Here I will add the display input function to this button. So when this percentage button will be pressed, then we will display this percentage symbol. And here is the divide button, so when this divide button will be pressed, then we will display this /. And here is the multiply button, and similarly we will add the display input function to this button. And similarly we will add the display input function to the other buttons. And we have added the display input function to these all calculator buttons. Now let's test the functionality by clicking the buttons. And you can see, the clicked button input is displaying in the calculator input box. And we have created the display input functionality. And now we will create the display result functionality, which will display the given input calculation result. Basically this functionality will perform the user input calculation, and it will display the input calculation result in the result label. In the display result function we will create the functionality, which will perform the user input calculation, and also it will display the calculation result in the result label. To perform the user input calculation, we will need to get the user entered input calculation. Here I am getting the user entered input calculation from the calculator input box. So here I have got the input calculation, and I have stored the input calculation in the calculation variable. Now let's see how we will get the result of the input calculation. To get the user input calculation result, we will use the eval function. Basically the eval function is a Python built-in function that evaluates the given string as a Python expression, and it takes string as argument, and it return the result of the evaluated expression. So in the eval function we will pass the user input calculation as an argument, and then it will return the given calculation result. And here after getting the input calculation result, then we will display the result in the result label. Here I will put the input calculation result, to display the result in the result label. And also we need to put this display input function code in the try and except block, to handle the exceptions. Because the eval function can raise an exception, if the user input calculation expression is invalid. And in the move on the video I will show you how the try and except block is important to add this function. So here we have added the display input function code in the try and except block to handle the exception. Now let's see how we will use the display input function to display the user input calculation result while typing the calculation input. And here is the example of the displaying result while typing the calculation input. So here in the display input function, here after inserting the calculator pressed button input value. Then here we will call the display result function to display the result while typing the calculation input. So the display result function will call back when a calculator button will be pressed to perform the calculation. Now let's run the program. Let me do calculation. If you notice, when I typed this input value 10, then here in the result label the input value is displaying. Right now just ignore this issue, but I will tell you why this is happening, and we will fix this issue. Let's if I add the 10 plus 20, then here you can see, the result is displaying of the 10 plus 20. Let's if I subtract 20. You can see the calculation results are displaying correctly. Now let's talk about why before the input value was displaying in the result label. You have seen initially when I have entered the input numeric value, before doing the calculation, then here in the result label the entered input value is displaying, which is unexpected. Let's do the calculation. Now you can see the calculation result is displaying in the result label, which is expected to display. And now let's solve this issue and see why it's happening. Basically this problem is coming from the eval function. The reason is we are seeing the entered input numeric value in the result label. Because the eval function treats a alone numeric value as a valid expression, and it returns the result of a lone numeric value, which has given to the eval function, and in our case, the same thing is happening, the eval function returns the same given numeric value. And then here the eval function returned result is displaying in the result label. To solve this issue, we need to check the entered input value is not only a numeric value, means we will check the entered input value contains any of the math operators, like plus, minus, multiplication, division, or percent. So if the user entered input will contain any math operator, then through the eval function we will do the calculation, and then we will display the calculation result. So we will use the Python regular expression module to check the user entered input contains any of a math operator. So let's import the regular expression module. Known as regular expression, it's a Python built-in module, which allows you to text manipulation, find and extract and modify the text, based on defined patterns. Here in the display result function, we will check the given user input using the regular expression search method. The regular expression search method is used to match a pattern within a string. The search method takes two arguments. The first argument is the pattern. In the pattern argument we will define a regular expression pattern to search for. Here I have paste a regular expression pattern, which will search for any of the math operator from the calculation input. And the second argument of the search method is the string, and in the string argument we will specify the text, which to be searched. So in the string argument we will pass the calculation input. Now the search method will match the given pattern to the given string, means it will find any of the math operator from the calculation input. So if any math operator will be found in the calculation input, then this if condition will be true, and then through the eval function, we will get the result of the input calculation, and then we will display the result. Now let's run the program. And now you can see, the entered numeric value is not displaying in the result label, so the issue is solved. And also you can see, the calculation result is displaying correctly. And now we will create the delete input functionality. Simply by clicking this D button, we will be able to delete the input. And also we will be able to delete the calculation input from anywhere, simply by selecting the cursor point. So let's start to create the functionality. To delete the input from the calculator entry box, first we will need to get the current position of the cursor inserting point. Using the entry box index method, we will get the input box cursor inserting point index. And in the index method we will pass the argument tk.insert, which will tell to the index method, that return the current inserting point index. And we will subtract 1 from the inserting point index, to get the index of the character which is the left side of the cursor. Because we want to delete the input that is currently under the cursor, as you can see in the showing example. And after getting the cursor inserting point index, then we will delete the input. And using the entry box delete method, we will delete the input by targeting the cursor inserting point index. Here in the delete method we will pass the cursor inserting point index as argument. And after deleting the input, then we will need to call the display result function, which will display the calculation result changes, while deleting the calculation input. And the delete input function is ready. Let's add the delete input function to the delete button. Here is the delete button. Let's add the function. Now let's run the program. So let's see if I click the D button, to delete the entered input. You can see I can delete the input by clicking the D button, and also I can delete the input from anywhere by selecting the deleting point. And we have created the delete input functionality. And now I want to show you a problem, so let's see if I delete this whole entered calculation input. And here you can see, I have deleted the whole calculation input, but here is still showing the last calculated result of the deleted calculation input. To solve this problem, we need to clear the calculation result, if the entered calculation input is completely deleted, so let's do this. Here in the display result function, if this condition is getting false, then means the calculator input box has nothing to calculate. Then here in the else condition, we will clear the showing result from the result label. Now the calculated result will not display, if the calculation input is completely deleted. Now let's run the program. Now let's see if I completely delete the calculation input. Now you can see, the calculation result is not displaying when I have completely deleted the calculation input. And the problem is solved. And now we will create the clear input functionality, so basically by clicking this C button, we will be able to clear the entered calculation input and also the displaying result. And this functionality is very simple to create, so let's start to create. To clear the calculator input box, we will use the entry box delete method to clear the input box. So we will delete from 0 to end, from the calculator input box, so this will delete all the entered text from the calculator input box. And also we will clear the displaying result from the result label. And the clear input function is ready. Let's add the clear input function to the clear button. Here is the clear button. Let's add the function as button command. Now let's see if I click the clear button. So you can see by clicking the clear button, the entered calculation input and the displaying result is cleared. And we have created the clear input functionality. And now we will create the highlight result functionality. So basically by clicking this equals button, the calculated result will be highlighted, as you can see in the showing example. So let's start to create this functionality. In the highlight result function, we will decrease the font size of the calculator input box, and we will increase the font size of the result label, to highlight the displaying result. To decrease the font size of the calculator input box, simply here I will configure to the input box, to set the font size. So the initial font size of the input box is 20, so here I will set the font size 15 to decrease. And similarly we will increase the font size of the result label, to highlight the displaying result. And the initial font size of the result label is 15. To highlight the displaying result, we will set the font size 25 of the result label. And the highlight result function is ready. Let's add the highlight result function to the equals button, as button command. Here is the equals button. Let's add the function. Now let's run the program. Now let's see, if I click the equals button. You can see by clicking the equals button, the displaying result is highlighted. Now let's see if I clear the calculation input and the displaying result, by clicking the clear button, and then if I calculate something. And you can see the result is still highlighted, so we need to reset the result highlighting, by clicking the clear button. So here in the clear input function we will reset the result highlighting. To reset the result highlighting, simply we will set the font size of the calculator input box and the result label, which is the initial font size. Now let's run the program. Now you can see by clicking the clear button, the result highlighting is reset. And dear viewers, almost we have done this calculator program. And we have to create just the last one functionality, which is the theme changing functionality. Simply by clicking the theme button, we will be able to change the calculator theme, in the light theme or the dark theme. So let's start to create this last one's functionality. To change the calculator theme by clicking this theme change button, so before we need to know which theme is currently applied to the calculator, the light or dark. To check which theme is applied to the calculator, here in this if condition, I will check the root window background color. Using the root window cget method, I will get the root window background color. Basically the root window cget method is used to get the information about the root window attributes, such as its geometry, background color, or other settings. So here I have specified the attribute name bg, to get the root window background color. So here if the root window background color is the system button face, then means the light theme is applied to the calculator. And the system button face is a default background color name of the root window. So if the light theme is applied to the calculator, then we will set the dark theme to the calculator. In a single line of code we can turn the calculator theme in the light or dark. So we will use the root window tk_set_palette method, to turn the root window in the dark or light theme. Basically the tk_set_palette method is used to set the color palette of the Tkinter application. This method allows you to set various widgets color in a single line of code, such as button label or entry box and more. To set the calculator dark theme using this method, simply here we need to pass the black color name to the tk_set_palette method. And now the tk_set_palette method will automatically set the root window background color black, and also it will set the all widgets background color black and the foreground color white. And after applying the dark theme from the light theme, we will set the sun emoji to the theme changing button, which will indicate turn it to the light theme from the dark theme. And the sun emoji we will get from the Windows Emoji Explorer. To open the Windows Emoji Explorer, press the dot button and the Windows button. And here in the else condition, we will set the calculator light theme from the dark theme. So if this condition is getting false, then means the dark theme is already applied to the calculator. Then here in the else condition, we will set the calculator light theme from the dark theme. To set the light theme from the dark theme, simply using the tk_set_palette method we will set the system button face color to the calculator window, which will turn it to the light theme. And also we will set the moon emoji to the theme changing button, which will indicate turn it to the dark theme from the light theme. And the theme changing function is ready. Let's add this function to the theme changing button. Here is the theme changing button. Let's add the function. And now let's see if I click the theme changing button, to change the theme. Here you can see the calculator theme is changed in the dark theme, but here the calculator input box color is not changed. Let's see why it's happening. So here initially we had already specified the background color of the calculator input box, which is the system button face. So this is the reason the tk_set_palette method is not affecting to the calculator input box. To solve this problem, simply we need to configure the background color manually to the calculator input box. Now let's run the program again. And now let's see if I click the theme changing button. And you can see the calculator is turned in the dark theme. And also you can see the calculator input box text color is changed in the white color, which is the foreground color. And by clicking this theme changing button, we can turn the light theme again. And you can see the calculator input box text color is changed again in the black color. And we have created the calculator program. Dear viewers, thanks for your patience for the late video. And thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.